Hello. In this video, we are going to talk about lipid metabolism. It is almost, it will take around 10 to 11 hours to explain about this topic, but I will try to finish it within a 1 hour or 1.5 hours. So, the first chapter in that is how the dietary lipids are digested and absorbed. As you know, this fat digestion starts in our mouth. Our mouth produces lingual lipase. In this lingual lipase, but it acts only on the stomach. It acts on the triglycerides present in milk, butter, and ghee. See, what are the two major forms of fat in our diet? One is triglyceride. Triglyceride is the storage form of fat. If you take any fat, it contains majority of triglyceride. For example, if you are taking 10 gram of oil, 10 gram of oil will contain 10 gram of triglyceride. But the second type of fat is called cholesterol. See, cholesterol is a very rare compound. We confuse cholesterol with the body fat. See, body fat, the majority of body fat is triglyceride. The majority of dietary lipid is triglyceride. Cholesterol is a very minor compound. It will be only in milligrams, not in grams level also. So this lipase, it acts on the triglyceride present in milk, butter, and ghee. Next comes the gastric lipase. At low pH, it becomes active and it digests around 30% of the triglyceride. Next comes the pancreatic lipase. So pancreatic lipase, along with one more enzyme called colipase, it hydrolyzes the fatty acid in the first and third atoms of glycerol, forming two monoacyl glycerol and two fatty acids. See, what is triglyceride? The old name is called triglyceride. The new name is triacyl glycerol. Acyl means fatty acid. See, fatty acid, it can be any number of fatty acids. See, butyric acid is 4 carbon, palmitic acid is 16 carbon. There are so many fatty acids are there. Don't worry about the numbering of fatty acid. There are totally 3 fatty acids in the glycerol molecule. So what is the formula for glycerol? CH2OH, CHOH, CH2OH. So you remove the hydroxyl group of the glycerol and you substitute it with your fatty acid. So 3 fatty acid combined in glycerol is called triacyl glycerol. So what does this pancreatic lipase and colipase it will do? It will remove one by one fatty acid, and it will remove usually the first and third fatty acid. Finally, there will be two monoacyl glycerol. Two monoacyl glycerol means not two fatty acid. In the second position of glycerol, there will be one fatty acid. Okay, and what is the next step? Colipase forms from the pancreas. It binds to the triacyl glycerol at the oil water interface. So, the main function is to assist the pancreatic lipase. So, mainly what is the digestive product of the triacyl glycerol is 2 monoacyl glycerol plus free fatty acid. Cholesterol ester becomes cholesterol, and all these will combine together with the bile salts. All will combine together with the bile salts to get absorbed. See, what happens is fat is not soluble in water. You take a little bit of coconut oil and put it into water, it does not dissolve because the fat contains no polar molecules. See, if a bonding, hydrogen bonding to occur, dissolving should be there. There should be positive and negative charges all over the molecule. But you see the fatty acid. Fatty acid contains COO minus group, but along with that there are so many methyl groups, CH2, 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 like that. So it does not contain a polar or charged side chains are there or not in the fatty acid. So they are not soluble in water. They are called hydrophobic. So how a hydrophobic compound can enter into our blood? Blood is hydrophilic. So how they can enter into? It cannot enter. Okay, it cannot enter into the cells at all. But anything can enter into our intestine. We can eat any food. It will enter into the intestine. So what happens? It should be made water soluble. Can fat be made water soluble? No. You cannot make fat water soluble. So you coat it with the hydrophilic surface. We make it with the hydrophilic surface. How to prevent cold? By wearing a sweater. Similarly, to make the absorption happen, bile salts. See, bile salts, they are made up of sodium glycocholate, taurocolate, potassium glycocholate, like so many things. They are amphipathic in nature. So when they coat the fats, all the fats, cholesterol, esters, monoacylglycerol, free fatty acid, what happens? Outside there will be hydrophilic area. Inside there will be hydrophobic core. So inside the fat will be there. This is called a mixed missile. So these missiles they will enter into the small intestinal cells by passive diffusion itself. Bile salts, what will happen to the bile salts from the intestinal cell? They will be go for enterohepatic circulation. So once they are inside the cell, intestinal cell, they will be broken down. This missile will be broken down, and this monoacylglycerol fatty acid again they will be combined to become triacylglycerol. See, there are so many things happening. Uh, for example, we are taking fat from an animal. The animal is making triglyceride, but after eating, what we are doing? We are breaking the triglyceride. We are it entering into the small intestinal cell. Again, we are making the triglyceride. Now we are transporting. Where we are transporting to all the cells. All the cells, what they will do? They will break up that triglyceride, and inside the cell they will make up the adipose tissue. They will make up the triglyceride. When energy is needed, the triglyceride is broken down. Okay, if the energy is not needed, it comes to the liver. It will be made up into triglycerides. It's a keep on cyclical process. So they will be reesterified to form triacylglycerol and cholesterol esters. See, you can see here the fat we are eating are digested by gastric lipase. So what happens? Triglyceride becomes mainly 2-monoacyl glycerol. Only 30% will occur in the stomach. Remaining 70% will occur in the intestine by the enzyme pancreatic lipase and colipase. So it is completely broken down to glycerol, and glycerol will be broken down, will be released. 2-monoacyl glycerol will be released, and fatty acids will be released. So the liver produces bile salts and bile acids. They combine with these fats. They make a coating and they form micelles. They will be absorbed into the intestinal cell. So until then, you know all these things. Remaining we will discuss in the next slide. So what happens next? As I told you, once inside the intestinal cell, glycerol plus free fatty acid and monoacylglycerol, they combine together to form again triglyceride. See, bile salts are can be present only in the intestine. They cannot enter into the blood. It will cause jaundice. Okay, bile salts are colored pigments. It will lead to a lot of problems inside. So what happens? We need a special molecule. So what is the special molecule that transport anything in our body, in our blood? Usually albumin. Albumin is the greatest transport protein. Similarly, here we need some proteins. Since they are transporting lipids, they are called lipoproteins. So before binding to the lipids, they are called apolipoproteins. That's why all the fat carrier proteins, we call it as apo suffix will be there. So apoprotein A, B, C, D, E are there. For transport of chylomicron, see what is this chylomicron? Chylomicron is a transport form of fat from the intestinal cell into the blood. Okay, into the blood. So in the intestinal cell, these fats, cholesterol esters, phospholipids, triglycerides, they all will be put together, and there will be coating outside. So what will the outer coat made up of? Mainly phospholipid. Phospholipid will be the main coating, because phospholipid also have this amphibic property. There a transport protein will be there, that is ApoB48, and a minor transport protein is ApoA. So they cannot enter into the blood, and they will usually, these are larger molecules. Say for example, smaller molecules, when it is absorbed, it enters directly into the portal vein. But since it is a larger molecule like bacteria, it cannot enter into the systemic circulation, portal circulation. Why? Because always the bacteria, viruses, they will go to the lymph first. Similarly, this is a large particle like fat, they will be given to the lymph. So lymph, where what is the duct? Thoracic duct. It goes to the thoracic duct. So thoracic duct, it again give the drains into superior vena cava. So this chylomicrons comes there. So from there, the chylomicrons will be going to many places. All the tissues will take up the fat. You can see small intestine, the digestion is over. Micelles are absorbed by the micelles are absorbed by your intestinal cell where these bile salts will be recirculated. Remaining things will be made up of made into chylomicrons. Fat will be made into chylomicrons with ApoB48. They will enter into lacteals. See, the only thing which does not need absorption mechanism is short chain fatty acid and medium chain fatty acid. You see, coconut oil. They say coconut oil is good for the Alzheimer's disease for brain, and coconut oil gives lot of energy because when you drink coconut oil, it directly enters from the stomach into the blood. It does not need any because they are very small in size. Similarly, your butter and ghee, they also does not need any transport mechanism. They can directly enter from the stomach. So these chylomicrons will enter into the blood. So there is a separate chapter of transport of lipoproteins. That is the next fifth or sixth chapter. There we will discuss in detail about chylomicrons. So what happens here? Lingual lipase, gastric lipase, pancreatic lipase breaks down triglycerides to monoacylglycerol, 2 monoacylglycerol plus free fatty acid, cholesterol esters broken down to cholesterol. They mix it with the bile salts to become micelles. They enter passively into the intestinal cell. In the intestinal cell, they are broken down where bile salts gets entry enterohepatic circulation, and the fats are coated with phospholipids as well as your ApoB48, and they enter into the lymph, into the blood. So until now, I think you have understood this. Now, what is the problem with the this digestion and absorption? See, usually we have all the enzymes, but in cases like pancreatitis, what happens in pancreatitis? Pancreatic lipase is not produced. So, what happens? We can't absorb fat, so the person will have fatty diarrhea. So, what are the other causes of this fatty diarrhea? The name of other the other name of fatty diarrhea is called steatorrhea. Okay, usually obstruction. You see, bile salts are needed for micelle formation. So if bile salts are not coming into the small intestine, like say ampulla of water obstruction by carcinoma head of pancreas, or gallbladder stone is dislodged and obstructing the ampulla of water, or some gallbladder cancer is there, or primary biliary cirrhosis where obstruction will be there in the biliary canal layer, and the secondary biliary cirrhosis. The primary sclerosing cholangitis, one problem is that all these things will lead to obstruction, lead to obstructive jaundice as well as this fatty diarrhea and enlarged lymph glands. For example, a person is having TB, he may have lymph nodes enlarged in his abdominal area that may obstruct this area, second part of the duodenum. And also the malabsorption disease, Crohn's disease. Nowadays it is very becoming this irritable bowel syndrome or becoming very common due to lot of chemicals in the food and all. So it may lead to ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease, celiac sprue, and celiac disease, and even surgical removal of small intestine. For example, a person is having some injury and a little bit of his intestine is removed, then there is less area for absorption of fat. It will lead to steatorrhea. So we will go to the second part of the lipid metabolism, fatty acid synthesis. How fatty acids are synthesized and what are the sources of these fatty acids? So the fatty acid synthesis, the mainly it is called Linen's spiral. It's name of the scientist Linen. In microbes, okay, what happens? This fatty acid synthase complex, they contain so many enzymes, almost 7 enzymes, and they are produced by different genes. But in humans, we have it as a multi-enzyme complex. It is derived from a single gene. This fatty acid synthesis is also called de novo. De novo means what? Inside our body, production of fatty acid. It usually occurs in the cytosol. Since it is a building up of substances, anabolism, it happens usually in the cytosol. So what are the precursors it requires? It requires usually acetyl-CoA. Next is you need NADPH, ATP, manganese, biotin, and bicarbonate as the carbon dioxide source. So first acetyl-CoA, 8 acetyl-CoA is needed to produce 16 carbon palmitic acid. Palmitic acid is a fatty acid. So uh, first step of the process is you have to make malonyl CoA. See, malonyl CoA is a 3 carbon. So acetyl CoA is 2 carbon. You have to convert it into malonyl CoA by the enzyme carboxylase, addition of carbon dioxide. So what is the source of carbon dioxide? As I told you, it is bicarbonate. Any carboxylase enzyme in our body, it requires biotin vitamin as a coenzyme. So what does it do? Biotin reacts with this HCO3 and it takes up the carbon dioxide and it gives to the acetyl-CoA. So acetyl-CoA becomes malonyl-CoA. You can see CH3CO has become COOCH2CO. It looks like a ketone, but it is not a ketone. It's called malonyl-CoA. And fatty acid synthase, it's a 7 enzyme complex. And it is a dimer, and we need two sets of this 7 enzyme complex. That means one side there will be 7 enzymes and another side there will be 7 enzymes, then only it can function. So what are the enzymes present in this 7 enzyme complex? We will see. And it is, as I told you, it is derived from single gene. So what is the thing? I think in electron transport chain you can see that all these are arranged in the inner mitochondrial membrane very close to each other, the cytochrome oxidase, cytochrome c, ubiquinone, and even the transporters. Why? So that the substrates and products can be easily transferred from one enzyme to the another, so a compartmentalization is achieved. So that's why there is a single gene hypothesis is here. So all the 7 proteins are nearby, so that the substrates and products no need to travel here and there to get reacted. Yeah? So the reaction happens as a whole. It's called compartmentalization. And the thing is, you can just stimulate this enzyme as a whole. There is no need, if you want to produce fatty acid, just stimulate the fatty acid synthase complex. That one gene stimulation is more than enough. That is another benefit here. So this is a fatty acid synthase complex. It's an important 5-mark question. This diagram itself, you can see 7 enzymes are there. Uh, Ketoacyl synthase from the right to the left. That is the first enzyme. Acetyl transacetylase, malonyl transacetylase, hydratase, enoyl reductase, ketoacyl reductase, acyl carrier protein. You have to remember this ACP, acyl carrier protein, and thioester is the final one. So this is a monomer, and this is the another polypeptide chain. You can see the same thing is arranged in opposite manner, and they are connected. They are connected by disulfide linkage and this pantothenic acid, and using cysteine, this amino acid. These two areas are attached. So how to divide it as a functional group? See, this is a subunit division. That is in the top, that is produced by one gene. The bottom is produced by one gene. That is single subunit. This is single subunit. But functional wise, it won't function like that. It will function like this. So these 7 enzymes forms a complex, and these 7 enzymes forms another complex. So as I told you, the main what are the precursors? Acetyl, CoA, ATP, NADPH, and you require biotin, carbon dioxide. So main thing is NADPH. See, NADPH is one of the most potent reducing agent inside our body. So there are only 2 sources of NADPH. Can you tell me what are the 2 sources? Yes, one is your HMP shunt pathway. That also happens in the cytosol. And the second is your um, malic enzyme. So NADPH is mainly required from HMP shunt pathway. You can see all the cells which produces fatty acids, they are also having HMP shunt pathway, like adipose tissue, liver, lactating mammary gland. They produce the active HMP shunt pathway. Mm. Other sources is malic enzyme that we will see shortly, and another is this extra metabolite, that is cytoplasmic isocitrate dehydrogenase. See, isocitrate dehydrogenase usually occurs in the cytosol in TCA cycle, but it will be there in the cytosol also, and that we will see in the future slides. So what are the sources of acetyl-CoA? See, acetyl-CoA mainly it is derived from carbohydrates, not from fat. See, why I am telling you this? Because when does the body fat break down to acetyl-CoA? When we are in fasting. During fasting only beta oxidation will occur. Uh, they come to the liver and to the other cells, and they will go for TCA cycle. They won't become fatty acid. So the main source of fatty acid synthesis are carbohydrates. So this is an anabolic cycle. Fatty acid synthesis occurs after eating. So it mainly our major source of food for Indians is carbohydrate. So from carbohydrate it becomes glucose. Glucose becomes pyruvate. Pyruvate becomes acetyl-CoA. Acetyl-CoA becomes acyl-CoA. I mean this fatty acid. But can you see a problem here? See, uh, this pyruvate production, glycolysis occurs in cytosol. Pyruvate to acetyl-CoA formation occurs in mitochondria, but the fatty acid synthesis occurs again in cytosol. So we need a pyruvate transporter. You can see the pyruvate transporter. The pyruvate from the glycolysis it enters into mitochondria by a pyruvate transporter. There it becomes acetyl-CoA by entering into TCA cycle. So what is the how pyruvate becomes acetyl-CoA? By pyruvate dehydrogenase enzyme. It's a multi-enzyme complex. Acetyl-CoA enters into TCA cycle. So acetyl-CoA, what is the first step of TCA cycle? Acetyl-CoA plus oxaloacetate gives citrate. Now citrate transporter is there. So citrate comes out into the cytosol. Here citrate again it becomes acetyl-CoA plus oxaloacetate. So acetyl-CoA goes for your fatty acid synthesis, and oxaloacetate by another method it can also become pyruvate by becoming malate. Malate can become by malic acid pyruvate. See, we have a double benefit here by pyruvate coming out of mitochondria to become acetyl-CoA. As a side benefit you are getting NADPH also. NADPH is also required for your fatty acid synthesis. So I will explain it in the next slide. So this is the first step we have discussed. Acetyl-CoA plus carbon dioxide becomes malonyl-CoA. COOH, CH3, CO. So there is no need for you to memorize the structures. See, the structure is for your understanding how this really happens. How addition of, see how acetyl-CoA is a 2 carbon compound and palmitic acid is a 16 carbon compound. How 2 carbons become 16 carbon? That is the thing you have to understand. It does not by successive addition you cannot do it. It does not happen inside our body. So there is some steps required. So the first step it becomes a 3 carbon compound called malonyl-CoA. You take a second molecule of acetyl-CoA. You take second molecule of acetyl-CoA and it joins with the condensing enzyme. It joins with the condensing enzyme by the enzyme acetyl transacetylase. See, this acetyl transacetylase is the first enzyme in the fatty acid synthase complex. So it becomes acyl carrier enzyme and malonyl-CoA. You can see this malonyl-CoA. It has come here. It combines with another protein. Have you seen the seventh protein? Seventh protein is acyl carrier protein. So malonyl-CoA attaches with the acyl carrier protein to become malonyl combined with acyl carrier protein. Malonyl ACP. So we have acetyl CE here and malonyl ACP here. So now combine acetyl CE plus malonyl ACP. Acetyl CE plus malonyl. So how many carbons? 3 plus 2 is equal to 5. But here we are going to remove the carbon dioxide. So now only 4 carbon will be there like butyl-CoA. So keto-acyl synthase. So what does it do? You can see just join acetyl and malonyl with removal of carbon dioxide. So COCH2, COCH3 can be called acetoacetyl ACP. Simply you can call acetoacetyl ACP. So we will recap here. Acetyl-CoA combines with carbon dioxide to form malonyl-CoA. Another acetyl-CoA combines with condensing enzyme to form acetyl CE. You take malonyl-CoA and combines with the acyl carrier protein malonyl ACP. So this acetyl group and malonyl group, acetyl group and malonyl group with removal of this condensing enzyme carbon dioxide it becomes 4 carbon compound acetoacetyl plus ACP. It is attached to the acyl carrier protein. Next step we will see very interesting. See, all these notes are available in the Google Drive that is given in the description. Don't think I am hurrying because when I explain you with the diagram, it will be easily understanding rather than simply reading from the slides. That way I am rushing. These notes are completely available, don't worry. You can take printout of these notes. Yeah. So we have seen the first three steps. Now you have acetyl ACP. See, what you have to do is this beta oxidation and fatty acid synthesis have exactly opposite step. So the first step is called reduction. So the first step is reduction. What is reduction? Addition of hydrogen. Second step is dehydration. Third step is again reduction. This is how we are going to join carbon, carbon, carbon like that. So what will happen when you join hydrogen here? You are going to join hydrogen here. So two hydrogen, so it becomes CHOH. You can see that it will become, yes, CHOH. Beta hydroxy, second carbon, beta hydroxy butyl ACP. See, ACP is always attached. ACP is a protein, don't get confused. ACP is a protein attached here, that's all. Now we are going, what is the next step? Dehydration, removal of water. Which water you are going to remove? You can see HOH. This H2O you are going to remove. So what will happen? Yes, what will happen? There will be a double bond. There will be unsaturation. This hydrogen comes here. CH double bond CH. Enoyl ACP. Enoyl ACP. So reduction, dehydration. Again you reduce. Now if you add hydrogen here, CH double bond CH. Here you add two hydrogen. So it will become CH2 single bond CH2. See, this unsaturation is gone. Okay, what we have achieved now? You think we have removed this oxygen. That is what we done. We have removed this oxygen here. So in between, you cannot have oxygen. It should be methyl group, right? CH2, 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 CH3. Then it becomes a long chain fatty acid. So that should not be unnecessary oxygen. So to remove that keto group, we are doing, what are we doing? Reduction, dehydration and reduction. If you have any doubt, just go back 10-15 seconds and watch it again. You have to understand this concept. Now we have butyl ACP in our hands. Just repeat the cycle. So what are you going to do? Repeat 3, 4, 5 and 6. That is add the same thing to another malonyl CoA and remove carbon dioxide. Add another malonyl CoA. So you will successive addition of 2 carbon will be there. So after 6 times, what will be there? You will have a palmitic acid having 16 carbon atoms, and you have to break it from the acyl carrier protein. You have to break it from the acyl carrier protein. How are you going to do that? If you want to destroy anything, just pour water. If you want to destroy your cell phone, put it in water. Similarly, if you want to destroy a linkage between two chemicals, that is called hydrolysis. Add water and destroy it. So when you, that is done by thioesterase. So palmitic acid is broken down from the fatty acid synthase complex. Just add malonyl CoA again and again and removal of carbon dioxide. So 2 carbon will be keep on adding. How do you regulate it? Very simple. If you eat more, which hormone will be produced? Insulin. See, insulin is the body building hormone. So insulin should stimulate fatty acid synthesis. So insulin stimulate acetyl CoA carboxylase. See, high carbohydrate means a large amount of pyruvate. Large amount of pyruvate coming back to the mitochondria as citrate. So citrate stimulates this acetyl CoA carboxylase. Insulin stimulates this acetyl CoA carboxylase, and glucagon, epinephrine, norepinephrine inhibits. What is glucagon, epinephrine, norepinephrine? They are hyperglycemic hormones. That means during fasting only these enzyme, these hormones will be produced, not during eating time. So, or in a postprandial state, when insulin level is high and pyruvate level is high and citrate level is high, fatty acid synthesis is stimulated. Otherwise, it is not stimulated. During fasting, there is no food available. Then why do you want to make fatty acid? You have to destroy the fatty acid. So, logically speaking, glucagon, epinephrine, norepinephrine, thyroxine, all these hormones are fasting hormones. They are not produced during eating, they are produced during fasting. So they will inhibit fatty acid synthase. So we will come to the third part of this exciting class of lipid metabolism. Now, beta oxidation. How fatty acid produces energy, that is called beta oxidation. Why it is called beta? See, alpha is the carbon that is attached to the functional group. What is the functional group of a fatty acid? COOH. So the first carbon attached to COOH is alpha carbon. Second carbon attached is a beta carbon. So this happens between the beta and alpha carbon. That's why beta oxidation. The breakage occurs between alpha and beta carbon. So how do you get this free fatty acid? As I told you in this first part of the lecture, in the adipose tissue, when energy is needed, triglycerides will be broken down to become free fatty acid plus glycerol. Free fatty acid will be transported to all the tissues. They are bind to the albumin because they are hydrophobic. They will bind to albumin and go to the all the tissues. And there are shorter chain fatty acids are there. They does not need any albumin attachment. They are very small, like butyric acid and all. They can go to all the cells and they should enter into mitochondria. See, fatty acid, they are such a big molecules and hydrophobic. It is not permeable to mitochondria, but we will see how it happens. First, you have to activate. First, you have to activate. Before playing a cricket match, what you are doing, you are wearing gloves, everything, getting ready. No, now once you are ready, you have to play. You cannot go back. Once you enter into the field, you have to play. So, first step of fatty acid breakdown is first you have to make it ready, preparatory stuff. What happens? It happens in the cytosol. Just attach CoA. Just attach CoA to the fatty acid. Now it becomes an activated fatty acid. It has to undergo beta oxidation. Acyl CoA synthase. Add CoA to the fatty acid. Becomes acyl CoA. Acyl CoA. And it requires 2 ATP. That is 1 ATP becomes pyrophosphate. That means 2 ATP molecules are utilized. When 2 ATP molecules are utilized, that means the reaction has to go forward. There is no backward reaction will be there. So what are the steps here? Entering into mitochondria. As I told you, it cannot enter into mitochondria. It needs carnitin. Carnitin is a chemical which is present in the mitochondrial membrane. Beta hydroxy gamma trimethyl ammonium butyrate. So what happens here? Uh, we will see this is the mitochondrial carnitin transporter. There are two enzymes, carnitin transporter acyltransferase 1 and acyltransferase 2. So first is fatty acid becomes fatty acyl CoA by acyl CoA synthetase. Now fatty acyl CoA has to enter inside the mitochondria. How it enters? So acyl CoA drops the CoA and joins with carnitin to form acyl carnitin. You can see acyl CoA combines with CoA. CoA is removed. Acyl will join with the carnitin to form acyl carnitin. Now acyl carnitin is permeable inside the mitochondrial membrane. There is a transporter here. You can see a transporter here. So acyl carnitin enters inside. So now what is the reverse process? Join CoA with acyl carnitin. Carnitin will be released and acyl CoA is inside. This is done by CAT2. Carnitin acyl transferase 2. So this carnitin goes back outside. So acyl CoA is officially inside the mitochondria. So what is the overall reaction of fatty acid synthesis? We have seen how are you going to add carbon atom successfully. Two carbons, how are you going to add? Reduction, dehydration, reduction. So here you are going to remove the two carbons. That means what you have to do? Opposite reduction is oxidation, hydration, oxidation. You will see what happens here. So 16 carbon palmitoyl CoA produces 8 acetyl CoA where breaking occurs between alpha and beta. You can see this is the palmitoyl CoA. In the last class we created this palmitoyl CoA. It has 18 carbons. So alpha carbon attached with your CoA. Alpha carbon attached with the COOH. COOH attached with the CoA molecule. See, CoA is not carbon. Don't ever say, all the students will get confused. CoA is not at all carbon. CoA is made up of pantothenic acid and it is a carrier enzyme. It's a carrier molecule. So the breakage occurs between the alpha and the beta carbon atom. alpha on the beta carbon atom. So you see this diagram, you can understand. Yes. So fatty acyl CoA is inside the mitochondria. See the structure: CH2, 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 COOH plus COA. Okay. Now, where do you want to break this between the alpha and the beta? Here you have to break it. How are you going to do that? So this bond you have to make it weak. Am I correct? How do you make this CH2 CH2 single bond? It's the strongest bond of all. How are you going to make it weak? By removal of hydrogen. By remove this two hydrogen by acyl CoA dehydrogenase enzyme, so it becomes delta 2 transenyl CoA. You can see here a double bond is created. Just remove this hydrogen and this hydrogen, you will have a double bond. Now you can see by removal of this, you can have a FADH2 will be produced. 1.5 ATPs are produced. Now, as I told you before, add water. Now you add water. When you add water, what happens here? This CH double bond CH will become CHOH. CHOH. Like that it becomes H2O is added here. CHOH. Now again you remove this hydrogen. Again you remove this hydrogen. Okay, by NAD, beta hydroxy fatty acyl CoA dehydrogenase. See what it has become? It has become CO. As I told you, when CO is there, that area can be easily broken. Now it can be just remove the CoA, add another CoA as such. This bond is already weakened. So what does it become? It become acetyl CoA. See where you have broken? You have broken here. You have broken here. So what happens? You attach one CoA here. So it becomes fatty acyl CoA plus you have broken this one acetyl CoA. I will tell you again. So what are we going to do? You are having fatty acyl CoA inside the mitochondria, maybe 16 or 20 carbon fatty acid is there. Remove hydrogen. Where are you going to remove hydrogen? In the alpha carbon and the beta carbon. So when hydrogen is removed, double bond is produced. Add water. In the beta carbon, you will have next to the beta carbon you will have CHOH. So what happens? You remove again hydrogen here, it becomes C double bond O here. That's all. Now it is completely weakened. Just you add the enzyme thiolase, add this CoA, this fatty acyl CoA, this remaining 14 carbon will be broken. This 2 carbon will be broken. This becomes acetyl CoA and this becomes fatty acyl CoA minus 2 carbon. So you have to remember this dehydrogenation, hydration, dehydrogenation. This is how one acetyl CoA is removed. Now what are you going to do? Repeat the process. Just you repeat the step number 1, 2, 3 and 4 again and again and again. So for a 16 carbon compound you need 7 cycles because already one last cycle will give 2 acetyl CoA. 7 cycles you will get 8 acetyl CoA molecules. Yeah, this is beta oxidation. And how it is regulated? See, when fatty acid synthesis is occurring, beta oxidation should not occur. When beta oxidation is occurring, fatty acid synthesis is not occur. So you can see acyl CoA. What is this acyl CoA? Acyl CoA is the activated fatty acid. That means beta oxidation is going on. It's a beta oxidation product. This acyl CoA will inhibit acetyl CoA carboxylase. So what is acetyl CoA carboxylase? That is the first enzyme of fatty acid synthesis. It will inhibit that. And glucagon will stimulate all these enzymes. And when is glucagon is elevated? During fasting. And lot of this fatty acids are coming into the all the cells, so that will also availability of the substrate, that will also increases the beta oxidation. You can see this malonyl CoA. Malonyl CoA is a product of fatty acid synthesis. So when it is more, we are in fed state. This malonyl CoA will inhibit this carnitine palmitoyl transferase 1, that is beta oxidation enzyme. And this is a spelling mistake. Oxidation of odd chain fatty acid. You can tell ask me, sir, 20 carbon fatty acid is there. You will get 8 acetyl CoA. What about a 21 carbon fatty acid? That means you remove the last 3 as propionyl CoA. What is propionyl CoA? 3 carbon compound. And remaining you will have around 9 acetyl CoA. So 9 acetyl CoA is equal to 18 carbons. 3 propionyl CoA equal to 3 carbon. 1 propionyl CoA is equal to 3 carbons. So 21 carbon. So what happens to the propionyl CoA? We know acetyl CoA enters into TCA cycle. What happened to the propyl CoA? That will also enter into the TCA cycle. How does it happen? You can see in the diagram. Not only propionyl CoA is produced by odd chain fatty acid, it is also produced from valine, isoleucine and methionine. These are amino acids going for gluconeogenesis. So they can also become propionyl CoA. Propionate becomes propionyl CoA. You carboxylase it. Propyl CoA carboxylase using biotin, methyl malonyl CoA converted to a L-methyl malonyl CoA isomer. L-methyl malonyl CoA using B12, it becomes succinyl CoA. What is succinyl CoA? Succinyl CoA is a compound present in intermediate of TCA cycle. So this is how propionyl CoA becomes glucose. See, what are the items from fat that becomes glucose? Glucose can become fat. When you eat lot of carbohydrates, it will become fat, you will gain weight. But when can fat really become glucose? Proteins can become glucose, lactate can become glucose, pyruvate can become glucose, but can fat become glucose? It's not possible. See the glycerol. Glycerol, totally how many carbons are there? CH2OH, CH2OH, the 3 carbons are there. But a triacyl glycerol, it may contain around 60 carbons. But the glycerol is just 3, almost 1/20th of the size of a fat. This glycerol can become glucose. Okay. And another is this propionyl CoA. What is this propionyl CoA? For example, a 21 carbon fatty acid, the last product is propionyl CoA. So that small part can become glucose. And what else can become fat? This propionyl CoA become fat, and glycerol can become fat. I don't think anything else can become fat. Can become glucose. So fat cannot be converted to glucose. Only a little amount of fat can be converted to glucose. So what are the energetics? So we can see 7 FAD is produced, 7 cycles. 7 cycles of palmitic acid is 16 carbon. So 7 cycles are needed. So each cycle there will be 1 NADH and 1 FADH produced. So 7 cycles there will be 7 NADH and 7 FADH. Totally there will be only 2 ATPs in the first step. You remember activation. First step, 2 ATPs are utilized. So what is the total energetics? You can see FADH2 1.5. So 4 into 1, 7 into 1.5, NADH to 2.5. So 7 into 2.5. You can simply take the 7 into 4 is equal to 28 ATPs. How many acetyl CoAs are produced from palmitic acid? 8. So one acetyl CoA gives how many ATP in TCA cycle? 10 ATPs. Okay. So 8 acetyl CoA is equal to 80 ATPs. So 80 plus 28 is equal to 108. Initial activation 2 ATP, so 106. And there are minor varieties of this beta oxidation. That is called alpha oxidation. In brain it occurs. You remove one carbon, one carbon, one carbon, one carbon as carbon dioxide. Usually it does not occur. It occurs in endoplasmic reticulum, does not produce any energy. You will inhale it as, exhale it as carbon dioxide. Usually when you take this phytanic acid that is present in milk and some plants, alpha oxidation occurs. That is called omega oxidation. It's a minor pathway in the microsomes using NADPH and cytochrome P450. You can see here CH3 becomes CH2OH becomes COOH. See, already there is one COOH, that is fatty acid. Fatty acid has already a COOH. Now another COOH is produced from the methyl group. That means what happened? Dicarboxylic acid. Dicarboxylic acid. So any problem in the beta oxidation, lot of omega oxidation will occur. Lot of dicarboxylic acid will be there. So it will lead to dicarboxylic aciduria. Very long chain, very long chain fatty acid. See 20, 22 carbons. They are oxidized by peroxisomes. They produce H2O2. They produce H2O2, and H2O2 will be broken down to water by the enzyme catalyze. That is why These peroxisomes are having catalase for oxidizing very long chain fatty acids. So what are the clinical aspects? Carnitine deficiency. See, I once worked in a dialysis unit. People come there thrice a week for doing dialysis, CKD patients. So every time we will give this carnitine tablet. Every day they have to take one carnitine tablet because this carnitine will also be removed from the blood during dialysis. We will remove glucose, sodium, potassium, water, everything will be removed. Similarly, carnitine will be removed and we will supplement with the carnitine. So carnitine acts like a vitamin. You can see in many bodybuilders for fat loss treatment they use this carnitine. So by eating carnitine as a tablet, will you lose weight? No, I don't think it's possible. Fatty acid catabolism, if it should occur, carnitine should be there. So carnitine deficiency usually occurs in hemodialysis patient only. Otherwise, it will be present inside our body. So when carnitine deficiency is there, what happens? During fasting, fat will not break down. Fat will not break down, leading to hypoglycemia, muscular weakness. See why hypoglycemia occurs. I will show you next slide. Usually, when the blood glucose level falls, what happens? The adipose tissue fat will convert into fatty acid and ketone bodies to give energy so that glucose in the blood is spared. See, some tissues can use only glucose. For example, your RBC, adrenal medulla, and they can use only glucose because they don't contain this RBC does not contain mitochondria. No TCA cycle can occur. For them, glucose is obligate need is there. So to supply glucose to them, other tissues will use up the fat. Okay, brain, your heart, skeletal muscle, all this will use up the fat. But when the fat cannot break down, all this glucose will be utilized. Then it will lead to hypoglycemia. Hypoglycemia, there will be sweating, fatigue will be there, loss of sensorium will be there, coma. Patient may go for coma and they may die. CPT1 deficiency enzyme is there, hypoglycemia will be there. CPT2 deficiency is there. Very rare diseases. Some diabetic drugs, sulfonylurea like glibenclamide, glimepiride, they also inhibit CPT1. They may lead to hypoglycemia. There are two reasons why this drug causes hypoglycemia. See, this glibenclamide, glimepiride or secretagogues. It produces a lot of insulin. It makes the insulin to release a lot of insulin. That may lead to hypoglycemia. Also, this process. Why fatty liver? Pregnancy, everybody will have fatty liver. Most of the people will have fatty liver because during pregnancy there will be a short chain acyl-CoA dehydrogenase enzyme deficiency may occur. So the acyl-CoA dehydrogenase is first step of this beta oxidation. So there will be fatty liver. This fat cannot be broken down from the liver. Fat will accumulate in the liver itself. Jamaican vomiting sickness. There is a fruit called ackee fruit. It has one poison called hypoglycin. For short chain and medium chain fatty acid, the first step, dehydrogenase step, will be inhibited by this hypoglycin. Patient will have hypoglycemia. Dicarboxylic aciduria. As I told you, when beta oxidation is blocked, it will lead to omega oxidation leading to dicarboxylic acid. There is one medium chain acyl-CoA dehydrogenase is deficiency is there, leads to hypoglycemia. Refsum's disease is a very favorite Viva question for all. As I told you, some plants and milk contain phytanic acid. They will block the beta oxidation, leading to neurological disorders. Zellweger syndrome is also called cerebrohepatorenal syndrome. There will be absence of peroxisome. What is the function of peroxisome? Very long chain fatty acid, carbon 20, 22, 30, 35, like that. When they are not present, this long chain fatty acid will accumulate in the peroxisome. It's a storage disorder. So we will come to the fourth part of this lecture, ketogenesis. So what are this ketogenesis? What are the ketone bodies we have to know? Acetone, acetoacetate, and beta hydroxy butyrate. Actually, it is a old name. It is a ketone, but it is still stuck. But see, the primary one is the acetoacetic acid, and the secondary ones are acetone and beta hydroxy butyrate because these both are produced from acetoacetic acid. Why it happens? Nobody knows clearly why keto body synthesis happens. but evolutionarily we are having this cycle in our body. Many animals are having this cycle in their body. So at certain times, for example, every day morning when we wake up, we are not eating any food. Previous night we have taken food 10 12 hours back. In the morning, so little bit of fat will break down. Little bit of fat will break down to give energy. So a mild amount of ketone bodies number will be there inside the blood. But when we start fasting, for example 12 for 24 hours 34 hours we are not eating food, all the glycogen will be depleted. Now there is nothing but fat to provide energy. So lot of fat will break down in our body. So when a lot of fats are breaking down, our this TCA cycle becomes overwhelmed. TCA cycle cannot handle this much of fat. So what they will do, they will convert these fats into ketone bodies and supply to other tissues. These other tissues will take up this and they will break down into acetyl CoA, and they may enter into TCA cycle. So these are water soluble products during prolonged fasting. It is produced normally during fasting. So you know this leader, Anna Hazare, and even modern day Gandhi. He says he has Gandhi and him has similarities, like he fast for long periods of time for social causes. And you can see something over here. This is a muscle cell. So what happens here when you blow up this muscle cell? Uh, from here you can see there are a lot of mitochondria. We'll blow up this mitochondria. Mitochondria has inner mitochondrial membrane folded into cristae. They will break down this fatty acid. So the fat will come to this mitochondria of the muscle cell, and usually the fat is a palmitic acid. It is broken down to become acetyl CoA. Not only acetyl CoA, if it breaks down into acetyl CoA, it is beta oxidation. But during fasting, ketogenesis happens, so acetyl CoA will be also formed. So what are the steps? We will see the steps in the diagram. You can see uh, the adipose tissue. Adipose tissue, triglycerides are being broken down. Why triglycerides are being broken down? Because the insulin level will be less. During fasting, insulin level will be less and glucagon level will be more. So when insulin level is less, hormone sensitive lipase is de-inhibited. Insulin inhibits that hormone. So when insulin is not there, this lipase becomes very active and glucagon will be there. So glucagon will stimulate the production of this enzyme and no inhibition. Now all the triglycerides in the fat cells will be broken up and they will become glycerol plus free fatty acid. Glycerol goes for gluconeogenesis, it's a small compound, but what happens to the free fatty acid? So the free fatty acid, ideally what should happen? It should go to all the cells. It should go to all the cells and it should become acyl CoA like in beta oxidation, and it should become it cannot become phospholipid or triacylglycerol because it is a starvation condition. So it goes for beta oxidation and it has to produce acetyl CoA. See this is the normal course of events. It also will happen during this starvation. But what is the in the one step above to production of acetyl CoA? For example, palmitic acid, you'll have 16 carbons. No, keep on breaking it. Acetyl CoA, acetyl CoA, acetyl CoA. Finally, there will be 4 carbons. That is called acetyl CoA. If you break it, it will become acetyl CoA. Uh, so what happens to this acetyl CoA? They can become acetyl CoA, enter into TCA cycle. This is normal. But during ketone body metabolism, it does not happen like that. This acetoacetyl CoA combines with one more molecule of acetyl CoA to become HMG CoA, hydroxymethyl butyryl CoA. So they will break down to become acetyl CoA plus acetoacetate. So acetoacetate is the first ketone body produced. See, acetoacetyl CoA is not ketone body. Acetoacetate is the ketone body. This acetoacetate undergoes dehydrogenation. But to become beta hydroxy butyric acid. By the enzyme dehydrogenase, it becomes beta hydroxy butyrate. Second second keto acid, and acetoacetate can spontaneously become acetone. This is also a secondary ketone body. So this is how it really happens. Acetyl-CoA plus acetyl-CoA becomes aceto-acetyl-CoA. Aceto-acetyl-CoA, there are two phases, one directly from the beta oxidation and another from acetyl-CoA also. By the enzyme aceto-acetyl-CoA synthase, and by HMG-CoA synthase, it becomes HMG-CoA. It can break down into acetoacetate and acetyl-CoA. You see this acetoacetate, it can become beta hydroxybutyrate by dehydrogenase enzyme, or it can spontaneously go for acetone. So this cycle you have to draw when you ask ketogenesis. So how ketone body provides the energy? By ketolysis. So acetoacetate, now it is produced in the liver. See, this ketone body synthesis occurs only in the liver, not in any other cell. So whatever fatty acid coming to the liver, it is converted into acetoacetate. Acetoacetate can be converted to acetyl-CoA by acetoacetate will be transported to the other cells. In there, they will be converted to acetoacetyl-CoA, so they can become acetyl-CoA. Okay, this enzyme is called thiophorase. It is not present in the liver because liver provides the energy to other cells. Liver cannot use up its own energy. It has to provide energy to the other cells. So thiophorase is absent in the liver, and acetoacetyl-CoA is converted to acetyl-CoA by the enzyme thiolase, the last step of beta oxidation, and it can enter into TCA cycle. Beta hydroxybutyrate also produced in the liver, that is taken up by extrahepatic tissues, converted to acetyl-CoA and then acetyl-CoA. You can see in this diagram. See, free fatty acid, and where it is coming from the adipose tissue, becomes enters into the liver, and the liver beta oxidation goes on, and here a change, it becomes HMG-CoA and becomes acetoacetate and beta hydroxybutyrate. They both are transported to the all the extrahepatic tissues like muscle, and they are converted to acetoacetate. Now the enzyme thiophorase convert acetoacetate to acetoacetyl-CoA, becomes acetyl-CoA. Acetyl-CoA goes for energy production. So how it is regulated? As I told you, when in starvation, insulin level will be very very low. So hormone sensitive lipase is not inhibited. Glucagon is high. It stimulates CAMP. It stimulates the hormone sensitive lipase. So triacylglycerol will be broken down. Lot of fats will come to the blood. So what happens? More free fatty acid comes to the liver. Liver tries to do beta oxidation, but it does not occurs like that. So what happens? It will converts into ketone bodies and transport to the other areas. How this is regulated? The CAT level is low in the fed state. When you are eating, this first step of beta oxidation, CAT1 enzyme, that is not there. So fatty acid oxidation will be inhibited. Starved state, CAT activity is very high, and malonyl-CoA, that is the malonyl-CoA is fatty acid synthase, first step, that will inhibit beta oxidation, CAT1 enzyme. So during this starvation, what happens? More fatty acid comes to the liver, it becomes acyl-CoA. It becomes acyl-CoA. As I told you, acyl-CoA will inhibit acetyl-CoA carboxyl. So production of malonyl-CoA will be inhibited. So the production of inhibitor will be inhibited. And that is what happens here. So in the final result, CAT1 is stimulated, that is beta oxidation is stimulated. Also in starvation, insulin glucagon ratio decreases, that will also stimulate the beta oxidation. So how it is? Another thing, acetyl-CoA, as I told you, two phases. One, it has to go for TCA cycle or ketogenesis formation. So during starvation, what happens? Oxaloacetate. See, this carbohydrates, fat burn at the wick of carbohydrates. And this we have discussed in the TCA cycle. That is nothing but oxaloacetate. See, beta oxidation, acetyl-CoA is produced. Acetyl-CoA has entered into the TCA cycle. So what is the first step of TCA cycle? Oxaloacetate plus acetyl-CoA becomes citrate. What is the source of oxaloacetate? Yes, anaplerotic reaction. It comes from pyruvate. What is the source of pyruvate? Glucose. So glucose should be there. Little bit of glucose is there to burn fat. This is why we call fat will burn at the wick of carbohydrates. So during starvation, all the glucose will go for your RBCs, brain, other tissues. So the oxaloacetate formation itself will be reduced. That's why liver convert everything into ketone body and sends to other tissues. Too much of too much of acetyl-CoA cannot be handled by TCA cycle here. So what is this ketosis? When the ketone body levels exceeds more than 2 milligram per deciliter, then we call it as ketosis or ketoacidosis. Increased blood level in the blood and urine is called ketonemia and ketonuria. So it usually occurs in prolonged starvation. Under diabetic, severe, see normal diabetic patients it won't occur. For who is well controlled diabetic patient it won't occur. Only during very uncontrolled diabetes state this will occur. Why it occurs? Because glucose is not available for the energy and the insulin production will also be low. So glucose cannot enter into the cells. So the cells will break down the fat and what happens? The because of increased fatty acid breakdown, ketogenesis will be there. And high fat feeding nowadays it's very fashion to have this paleo diet, keto diet, which is working because we'll go in a state of nutritional ketosis. Severe excess during the post-absorptive state that will also leads to ketosis. And Van Gier's disease. Van Gier's disease, glycogen cannot be used for energy. So fat will be used for energy to produce ketone bodies. And another is starvation. So starvation, as usual, insulin level goes down, glucagon ratio goes up. So what are the features of ketosis? There will be metabolic acidosis because beta hydroxybutyrate and acetoacetate they are acids. So the pH will reduce. What happens when pH reduces? Metabolic acidosis will happen. It will be tried to compensate it by hyperventilation. See what happens when H plus will be more. H plus will combine with HCO3 minus to become H2CO3. H2CO3 is carbonic acid. It will break down to become H2O and CO2. H2O will be excreted in the urine. CO2 will be excreted by the lungs. So lungs will try to excrete lot of acids by hyperventilating the CO2. So because of very much hyperventilation, what will happen? The patient will go for hypocapnia. See, when hypocapnia is there, that will not stimulate the respiratory center. So patient will go for respiratory failure in the very near future. And the breath will also contain acetone. Acetone will be present in the urine and in the breath. There will be fruity odor of acetone will be there. So this Kussmaul breathing and this hyperventilation is called Kussmaul's breathing. Ketonuria, lot of ketone bodies will be excreted in the urine and that will do osmotic diuresis. So patient will go for severe dehydration and these ketone bodies are excreted as salt, sodium salt. So along with the sodium, water will also be gone due to solvent drag mechanism. Patient will go for dehydration. Mm. Diagnosis, you can simply clinical finding itself is more than enough and Rothera's test and Gerard's test for ketone bodies in the urine. There are keto sticks are there. And just you dip the urine with these keto sticks, immediately we will get ketone body positive or negative, and you can find out the ketone bodies level in the bed. So how are you going to manage this? Treat the primary cause. If the patient is having starvation, feed some food. If he is having severe diabetes mellitus, admit him in the ICU, monitor his blood glucose, give insulin accordingly, and you have to maintain his electrolytes because he is having metabolic acidosis. He may develop hyperkalemia, severe dehydration. You have to give lot of uh, fluids and you have to give lot of oxygen also. So this is the treatment of diabetic ketoacidosis, and this is the end of uh, part 1 of lipid chemistry, lipid metabolism. I thought it will be a very small video, but already it's been more than 1 hour. So I will make another one. Lipid 2 metabolism will be the lipid metabolism part 2 will be the next video. So and you can read this UniQuest series of biochemistry book that is from the JP publishers. It is available in Amazon, Flipkart, everywhere. That will be very useful for you to prepare during exams and not even not during exams, in ordinary days also you can read that book. It is very useful for you. So we will meet you in the lipid metabolism part 2. Bye bye.